the path, but there's probably no counter picks coming out. If there is, it might be like an MSF. And I think they played Banjo at some point, but I wouldn't expect either of those, really.
I don't think as well. I mean, both these players have been doing extremely well with their characters, so I don't know if the matchup specifically calls for it, but I would imagine that, once again, Jigglypuff is the character that can struggle a little bit more, especially on stage. With that, I think the clay pigeon here is almost the most annoying thing, because it just is so disjointed. It sets you up for so many confirms, as you see right there, clay pigeon into back air from SkWiirel. It's just so good.
It's a combo starter, and it's also like pretty good at just blocking out Puff short hop aerials, which sucks because those are her best grounded options. Because in this game, rising short hop aerials and grounded options are basically the same thing. So Puff's gonna have to play even more in the air than usual, which can kind of suck. And that's some really smart ledge trapping there, using can to force Dawg to jump and then punishing with the gunman.
Yeah, it's just limiting so many options here for Dawg. Dawg has to really find some very creative ways to get through it. Not quite sure if I agree with the rollout there. It is creative, but I don't think it necessarily works, as we've seen, rolling straight into that can.
It's just, say what you want about Duck Hunt, but there's a lot of creativity in these setups right now. It's really interesting to just watch how the tilts interact with it, and like that there. Using Gunman to force Dawg between the platforms and the floor, and then using Can to punch that space. That's really clever. And it's a really smart way of also using the platforms kind of as walls at the same time.
Yeah. And that is only the projectile stuff, right? And if you put the Duck Hunt itself into the mix with those aerials right there, as we've seen SkWiirel repeatedly do, it's gonna make it even more difficult for Dawg to just navigate around this right here. And you see that Dawg, they got some good damage on SkWiirel here, but at this point they are not really finding any opening here, and they need that one opening to just get the kill. But yeah, look at that. Even though they have SkWiirel in the corner, it's really not gonna amount to too much. And now that SkWiirel had the time,
got a bit unlucky with that RNG on the down air knockback. And reset to center stage. Maybe it was worth doing a nair there. I don't know about that decision. That was a smart trade though. Dawg was at lower percent, I think, and just died a lot later because of it.
Yeah,
SkWiirel doing a really good job of keeping Can like at 2 frame distance at ledge, and just making it impossible to snap to, so that Puff has to expend all of her jumps.
Yeah, Puff specifically, of course, has a lot of trouble with that. Can more or less just only use her jumps for that. The Sing is an option, but doesn't really snap very good as well. So if you just keep the can around, it's really difficult for Dawg just to find a safe way back to ledge. So if you recover high, SkWiirel is going to be there with the coverage for sure. And that just makes it so difficult. Even if you approach from the very top here, as you see Dawg trying to do, just jump into the air and find a way somehow. SkWiirel is there with those up airs, which is just really good to catch anyone jumping, trying to jump over you, and that's just really, Dawg's struggling right now, and for good reason. SkWiirel is just a very cerebral player, setting up those traps as well. And fortunately for SkWiirel there, the can was out a little bit too long, which didn't allow him to combo it into it, but this is still looking very good. One more strong hit here is going to be the game. SkWiirel is looking amazing right now. There's the up air. That's going to be it.
Since, I think, like, after that, I'd say after that sort of first stock, or after Dawg lost his second stock, second stock, I would say that they never really got into it. They didn't even really find an opening after that point. I think they just sort of couldn't get in, couldn't deal with it. I think part of that is floatiness. It's very hard to approach characters when you're floaty, especially if those characters have very good aerial coverage in their zoning, like Duck Hunt.
Yeah.
I don't know how good this matchup is. I know Duck Hunt's recovery isn't great. It's basically just Can and maybe Gunman to protect me, and then my actual recovery is kind of like terrible.
Yeah, it is.
Like, in terms, I mean, it's all right in terms of distance, but in terms of like protection, there's none, and it's also very slow.
Yeah, even in terms of distance, it is not very good. It gets you like, if you're halfway down the blast zone for most stages, it's already almost game over because you don't really have the time to get out a cannon or a gunman in most of the time. So it's difficult. This is where Dawg would get the mileage, but they haven't really found a way to just get SkWiirel off stage. I don't think we've seen SkWiirel off stage once, maybe once or twice, but that's about it. They found a very quick way back as well. And, you know, as you said, the Dawg not having more or less any ground movement because Jigglypuff is very slow on the ground means that you have to approach from the air. And against a duck hunt, that is very difficult.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm not sure if I really see SkWiirel losing this from this point onward. I think that was kind of commanding, and I also didn't really see signs of any real adaptation from Dawg. So it'll be interesting. Hopefully I'm surprised because I always want tight sets, but this could really be an even better performance from SkWiirel potentially because started off with a small lead and just kind of expanded on it. They seem to be doing like generally better, and I think that they'll probably keep going. I think that you could see a pretty strong performance in this last game here, but I mean, who knows? We're picking stages now, and we'll see what happens.
We'll see. You know, maybe this could be the time for a little bit of a counter pick if Dawg has one, which I'm not sure about. I'm pretty sure they don't. Oh well, I'm wrong. There is the counter pick indeed. The young Link is coming out for the counter pick here.
I'm not sure if I agree. I'm just gonna go on a whim right now and say I'm not sure if I agree with this too much because I know that Duck Hunt is a bit of a counter zoner. So stuff like arrows, for example, is a lot less useful when Duck Hunt has a lot of projectiles with health that can just kind of eat them up, and just generally better priority. So I don't know if Dawg is just sort of throwing out characters that they've been learning and hoping that the matchup is better. Because I'm not sure, unless there's something really obscure I don't know, I don't think this matchup is really that much better. Or I don't think this matchup is particularly good for Youngling.
Yeah, it suffers from the same problems that many zoners or projector characters have against Duck Hunt, is where, as you said, the gunman and the can just eat up your projectiles, and usually you look for those to just confirm and anything. And you can see that SkWiirel seems to be very comfortable as well. They can, you know, find those kind of brawly mix-ups as well, just going in with the Duck Hunt itself as well. Although, with that said, Dawg is still finding good ways to deal some damage here and keep the game even. You know, one more smash deck from both of these characters is going to take the first stock here.
Young Link might be a zoner, but Young Link is also a swordy. And what we've seen from Dawg is a very aggressive Young Link, a Young Link that's not afraid to approach and is mostly just using those projectiles to find openings and to sort of disrupt SkWiirel's rhythm as SkWiirel tries to sort of get some setups going, because a lot of SkWiirel's setups were very elaborate. You needed that time that a floaty kind of gives you in order to sort of pull them off, and they're not really those same setups aren't really working. SkWiirel has other setups that are that you can kind of see, but they aren't as elaborate or as complicated or arguably as effective. But they're still around. Yeah, it's just a bit harder.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, they're still working, and you can see that SkWiirel is relying a little bit more on the normalcy as well, on those aerials. Gets the grab, but there, back throw off stage. Got it. Ooh, I love the angle on that can. That was very smart.
And then to do the can in the opposite direction so that you know you can bounce it towards the ledge and get the 2-frame. That is the one flaw I'd say, is that Young Link's recovery is a bit less predictable. So a lot of that stuff that we saw from SkWiirel in the first game, where he did like a phenomenal job of just keeping can sort of 2-frame range at ledge, that's gonna work even better now.
Yeah, and that was like really cool from SkWiirel. That's the kind of cerebral stuff you expect from Duck Hunts, you know, with the setups and the angles and all that, launching the can in different ways. With the gunman there as well, almost successful in launching the can in Dawg's face there as well. This is actually
just covering
really cool.
the runoff of the platform. It's just a really smart option, because you think that you're gonna get zoned out by gunman, and then you get zoned out by gunman, but in a completely different way. Which I find kind of interesting. But yeah,
Has to grab that. Dawg finding something. Oh, dash tech actually almost killed. I wasn't quite aware that that's a good kill move at some point for the youngling. But there it is, the jump catch from SkWiirel with that up air. It's catching Dawg, chilling on the platform, and of course at 150%, that's certainly going to take the stock. But now SkWiirel has to land, and against those very disjointed up airs, that's looking a little bit difficult.
yeah, SkWiirel manages to find it by getting a sliding tech off the platform.
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Oh no.
Have we been kicked from the replay, or is the game over?
The game
no.
is not over. We've simply been kicked from the replay. This happens sometimes. Neither player is at fault. This is just the game that we choose to play.
This is just, we just got Nintendo'd right about now.
Okay, so about that sliding tech off the platform.
Go ahead, man.
This is just what happens.
That is a very underrated technique in ult. When you have enough momentum, and if you tech in the right position, you can tech and then slide during your tech off of the platform. You can act basically immediately. It's a very underrated piece of tech. I don't know if it was done on purpose. Probably not. But I think it's a pretty good defensive option and a smart pick if it was done on purpose.
Yeah.
Okay, place your bets. Who's gonna win?
I would say, from what we've seen, I think SkWiirel still got it, but Dawg is looking way better. But I think it is a close game, but SkWiirel will take it. That's my bet.
I think the matchups are so different that SkWiirel had, like, sort of first stock spent a lot of time adapting to being in to having to approach the game in, like, a different way. But I think that after that point, SkWiirel just started picking Dawg apart a bit, and I think that SkWiirel was sort of starting to get a big lead. Yeah, you see it there.
There it is.
Starting to get a big lead, and you could kind of tell that it was going to go that way.
Alright.
So, who have we got?
Well, that's a 2-0, and that means that we're going to be moving on to Spag versus Among Us.
Alrighty.
Okay,